Hello, Eric Dar. I'm from where? Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta call you back. I thought you were. I'm in a meeting. Can I call you back?
Hi, Eric.
Hey, Catherine. Nice to see you. Sorry.
How are you doing up there?
I'm good. It's
Good.
Rainy, typical.
Good. Great.
Nice in Carmel.
Yeah, you missed some rain.
Yeah. Well, I was there until Saturday. So.
Oh, okay. Good. You were there then. Yeah, good.
Mm-hmm.
So
getting the agenda in front of me.
when will you be back?
I will be back. I'm actually up here so that I could take my 10-year-old niece to Hamilton.
Oh, good, good.
So that's Tuesday night, and I will come back the next day.
Oh, very good. Well, that'll be a treat for both of you.
Yeah, she knows all the songs by heart, so I'm impressed.
That's very good. Good. That's nice. Nice for her to see that.
Mm-hmm.
How old is she?
10. Usually.
Oh, I think that will have a big impact on her.
Should be fun, yes.
Yeah, it will be. It will be a lot of fun.
Mm.
Hello, David. How are you, Mr. Fink?
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Are you working hard on the Sundial Lodge?
Yes. Working
Good.
hard on the sundial, working hard on, Colonial Terrace, Carmel Beach, and we're also restoring a historic 1896 building in Beaune, France. So I have too many projects right now.
Oh, it sounds like it. You better calm down. If that's
my dad
possible.
used to say. Yeah. Well, Carmel Beach is going well. I just toured some of the committee there, and there's a lot of work to do, but hopefully we'll be open by the end of the year.
Yeah, very ambitious, but a lot to be accomplished, but it'll be a very good project.
It will be. I'm very happy with our construction and architectural team. They're good folks.
That's great. Hi, Marnie.
Marnie.
Mm-hmm. There she is.
Hello.
Is this Catherine Wallace here?
Hi, yes it is.
Yes, hi. Nice to meet you, Catherine.
Nice to meet you, Catherine.
Oh, we have an abundance of K's, it looks like.
It seems that way.
That's wonderful. We were happy to have you, and we hope you enjoy your new job.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. It's my first day. Glad to be here.
Good. I would throw you right into the soup.
Yep.
Good. Where are you from, Catherine?
I'm coming from Washington, D.C., actually. I drove across the country last week, and I have lived in Northern California before. I was up in the Bay Area for 3 years, somewhat recently, but I'm glad to be back.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
You certainly know you have a big job ahead of you, it sounds like, from what Marnie told us.
Mm.
Seems like there's a lot on the to-do list.
Yes, there is. There is. Good.
Dude, we have up here. We have 3 of them missing.
Yeah. Did you leave them at the site, Marnie?
No, we did see them drive off, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
I did have a chance to go visit before I left town, so.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, me too.
You can see we have a lot of construction going on.
Yeah.
I should say. Absolutely.
And Marty, did you say Seth was going to be on the call just to give us a brief discussion of what's coming up?
Oh, unfortunately, Seth is not able to make it this afternoon.
Okay.
But we will go ahead with the appointment of the subcommittee and receive any comments that the board has as we kick off this endeavor.
Mm-hmm. You can give us a briefing on it. I know there's some time issues that you're going to talk about.
Yes, I can certainly do that. We do have a very tight timeline.
Eric, where are you?
Just up in Portland, Oregon area. Hey there, Jordan. Sorry, I was looking at something else there.
Is it raining up there?
Hey, Carol. Yes, it is actually.
How did I guess?
What a surprise.
April showers. That used to mean something. No. But it still rains in May. But there may be flowers. We'll see. Kathy, was Kathy with you at the site?
No. And I was told, I think Marnie said that well, go ahead, Marnie.
She did mention she was traveling, but we are expecting her to be here this afternoon.
Okay. Let's see. So you let me know how long you want to wait for her, Marnie. Since it's already 4:10. Give her another few minutes.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Catherine. I was just
Hi,
looking for
Jordan.
you. Yeah,
Hi,
there
Jordan.
you are.
There I am. How are you, Jordan?
Hi,
He's
Ray, how are you,
fine. I
Catherine?
can attest.
Good. He's fine. Good. Good.
So Brandon put out this email, since we haven't started yet, about us getting our city email addresses and stuff like that, which we may or may not have done. I did, but in Brandon's email, he said, "Oh, call the IT guys and they'll help you set it up to transfer to your personal email if that's what you want to do." And I asked for assistance with that because I've never done it before, and the answer I was given was just Google it. So I don't know. Apparently, there's information on Google on how to do it. I don't know if anyone else has done it before, but if I find a good Google site, I'll send it out to you guys.
Good. I'm exactly in the same place you are.
I'm behind you both because I can't ever find the email I was supposed to get from the IT guy about how to actually access the email.
So it didn't come originally, but now it's come. The email that was sent came from, hang on, I can give it to you. It's a weird address. It's like
IT.
it's like the Google Workspace. The one I got says it's from the Google Workspace.
Huh.
Yeah, I talked to his name's Joel, I think,
Joel.
the IT guy, and he was supposed to, or he said he sent it to me this morning. I still haven't gotten it, so I think there may be some email address problem or something. But
Yeah.
To be
So-
continued.
Have you tried checking your junk or your spam? Because sometimes this stuff ends up there.
I did check that. Yeah, I didn't see that. Okay, Marty, do you want to call Kathy? Is that possible?
I did try, and I got her voicemail. So I think it's 4:13. We probably should get started.
Okay, let me. Okay, I'll go ahead and call to order the City of Carmel-by-the-Sea's Historic Resources Board meeting for Monday, April 18th to order. Roll call, please.
Board Member Croman. Was that a here? I think it was a here. Board Member Gualtieri.
Here?
Board Member Hall.
Here?
Board Member Pomeroy. And Chair Dyer.
Here. Okay, anyone wanting to address the board on matters that are not on the agenda may do so now. Not too many people on our Zoom today, so I don't see any hands going up. We can move on to announcements. And Marnie, do you want to introduce Catherine?
Yes, thank you. So we're really happy to announce that Catherine Wallace has joined our team in community planning and building. She is an associate planner who's going to be focusing on long-range planning projects, including our historic context statement update. Today is her first day in Carmel, so just wanted to take this opportunity to introduce her to the board, give her an opportunity to say a few words if she would like, and just welcome her.
Thanks, Marnie. I'm having a great first day so far. I am coming to Carmel with a background in cultural resources planning primarily. I have a graduate degree in architectural history and have worked for a couple of preservation planning firms, both in San Francisco and more recently in Washington, D.C. So I'm thrilled to be here and excited to get to know you all better.
Wonderful.
Good.
You have a great background, Catherine. Look forward to working with you.
You as well. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we can go on to the consent agenda, and we have the minutes from our special meeting of February 28th. Are there any comments or notes on those meeting minutes from the board, or is there a motion to adopt them?
I move to adopt them.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Wait, you want roll call, don't you? I think, Leah.
Yes,
So-
I can do roll call.
Sorry about that. I usually do minutes with that method, but that's
No problem. No problem. No problem. So the roll call vote, Board Member Croman,
Yes.
Board Member Gualtieri,
Yes.
Board Member Hall,
Yes.
Board Member Pomeroy, and Chair Dyer.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Going on to orders of business, and the next item is the appointment of a subcommittee for the historic context statement. Marnie, do you want to say anything first before we get into that?
Yes, I'll just give a little bit of background before we appoint the subcommittee members. So as you guys all probably know by now, that the city's historic context statement is one of the most important tools that we use to evaluate properties when looking to add them to our Carmel inventory of historic resources. And this context statement was last updated in 2008. So it's long overdue for an update. It currently covers the time period of it goes up to 1965. And the update will bring us up to, oh gosh, I believe it's the 1970s maybe?
Wasn't it? 86?
I think it's 80.
1980. Okay. So there was an error in the staff report. I went a little bit too far. But we're looking to sort of capture this time period where properties are now turning 50 years old, but they're not covered in the context statement. So what we're asking the board to do this afternoon is to appoint 2 board members to serve on a subcommittee that will work with staff as well as our consultant as we move forward with the update. As you may recall, I know Chair Dyer, you were around when we started the update a couple years ago. We had a subcommittee. So similar concept, we're just looking to have a couple board members assist us with this process. We recently did enter into a contract with past consultants, and Seth Bergstein will be working with staff on the update. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here this afternoon, but we're really looking forward to working with him on this project. And so with that, I will turn it back over to Chair Dyer for the subcommittee appointments.
Okay. Yeah, I think after being on the first subcommittee, I would definitely volunteer myself up for this, but I'll open up for nominations.
Well, it seems to me that you'd be the best person to continue on. And if Thomas Hood were still here, he would also, I'm sure, be good to continue. So I think you should certainly carry on, Eric, with the subcommittee since you have that experience.
Okay, I'm willing to accept that. And I think, Catherine, you'd be another great person as the second longest person on the board.
Second oldest person on the group. Yeah.
So I would nominate you if there's any other nominations or people that are interested, let us know.
Carol, are you interested?
Well, I would be interested if you needed somebody, but just to get to know the lay of the land a little better, if nothing else. Or you, Jordan.
I think I would like to do this, Carol. You may have your hands full if Eric is not at a meeting. So why don't I take this one on and you continue?
That's fine. That's fine.
Chair.
Okay, so I guess we have 2 nominations. Is there any other discussion, or is there a motion?
I would like to motion that Eric and Catherine fill the seats on the the subcommittee for the historic context statement update.
Great.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. And let's have a roll call then. for that motion?
Board Member Croman,
Yes.
Board Member Gualtieri,
Yes.
Board Member Hall,
Yes.
Board Member Pomeroy, Chair Dyer.
Yes. Thank you. And I think we have to talk about, Marnie, about doing, I think you were going to talk about the timing of this, and maybe we can talk more about it at another board meeting when Seth is able to appear. But I think it is important to have some sort of updates to the board from the subcommittee. We certainly will try to do that at each meeting, because I think the time frame, we're trying to get this done by September. Is that right, Marnie?
It looks like, yeah, September this year. Mm-hmm.
So that's fast. So there'll be stuff to talk about probably at each meeting. Okay. Going on to the next order of business. This is MA 21239, Carmel Beach Hotel and Spa. Consideration of adding a historic resource to the Carmel Register of Historic Resources and making a recommendation to the City Council on whether to enter into a Mills Act contract with Esperanza Carmel Commercial LLC for the historic Colonial Terrace Inn, now known as, sorry, I just lost. Here's the screen, I lost my screen. Known as from the historical Colonial Terrace Inn, now known as Carmel Beach Hotel and Spa, located on San Antonio Avenue, northeast of 13th. And staff report, please.
Well, thank you, Chair Dyer. So before the board this evening is a Mills Act application. You may recall that the board saw one of these recently for L'Auberge. So this presentation might look somewhat familiar. So the Colonial Terrace Inn, which is being rebranded as Carmel Beach Hotel and Spa, is located on San Antonio, northeast of 13th Avenue. It is located in the R1 single family residential zoning district. The inn was designated as a historic resource under the name Colonial Terrace Inn, and was the period of significance is 1930 to 1949, when many of the homes that are now hotel rooms were constructed. So in order for a property to qualify for a Mills Act contract, it must both be listed on the Carmel Inventory of Historic Resources as well as the Carmel Register. So in 2002, a historic evaluation was completed by Kent Seavey and found that the inn is historic and is an excellent example of lodging accommodations in Carmel-by-the-Sea in the 1930s and 40s. This historic designation was recorded with Monterey County in 2007. So the property is currently listed on the Carmel inventory. However, it has not yet been added to the Carmel Register. So the applicant is requesting that the board add the property to the Carmel Register in order to take advantage of the Mills Act contract benefit. So that is also before the board this afternoon. So Mills Act property contracts are an incentive program for historic resources. The program provides a reduction in property taxes to offset the cost of rehabilitating and maintaining a historic resource. And the role of the Historic Resources Board is to consider requests for Mills Act contracts and make a recommendation to the City Council on whether to approve with conditions, or deny the request. So I'm going to go through the findings. As previously mentioned, the building is designated as a historic resource, which is the first finding required to be eligible for the Mills Act contract. And the property owner is requesting to be added to the register as required by this finding. The second finding is that the rehabilitation plan is appropriate in scope and sufficient in detail to guide the rehabilitation and maintenance of the resource. The maintenance plan is provided in your packet. the applicant is planning to spend around $3 million upfront for the renovations, which are currently underway, and a total of $3.5 million over the 10-year contract period. This amount may increase a little bit as the project has been under construction. They've uncovered some additional rehabilitation and maintenance work that may need to be done, and the applicant will speak to that in more detail in their presentation. So the maintenance plan includes items such as constructing new foundations for a couple of the buildings throughout the property, replacing aging piping, electrical, installing a new fire sprinkler and fire alarm system, new windows and doors throughout, as well as Americans with Disability Act upgrades to make the property more accessible, and also to provide some accessible rooms within the property. So finding number 3 limits alterations to interior work and exterior rehabilitation, and all work must be completed in accordance with the Secretary's standards. The board may recall that recently you did see the proposal for the renovations, and you adopted a determination of consistency with the Secretary's standards for the work that's currently underway right now. Following your decision, the Planning Commission also approved the renovations and issued a design review permit. Finding number 4 is that the contract will aid in offsetting the costs of rehabilitating and maintaining the resource. And finding number 5, that the contract will represent an equitable balance of public and private interests. So again, the city's policy is that up to 15 Mills Act contracts can be entered into over a 3-year period. The city has only entered into 1 contract over the last 3 years. There are over 280 historic resources currently on our inventory, and we currently have 10 active Mills Act contracts. The city would continue to receive a portion of the property tax, and there is value in preserving historic resources. So staff finds that this request is consistent with this finding. So the recommendation is that the board adopt a resolution recommending the city council enter into the Mills Act contract. And that completes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Marnie. Is there any questions of Marnie and staff on this from the board? Okay, if not, I will open up the public hearing, and is the applicant or applicant's representative, Mr. Fink, is here.
Hi, Mr. Dyer. I'm here. Thank you very much. And if we need him, Chris Barlow, who's our Mills Act expert architect, he has a degree in that, is also on if you have any technical questions. As you can see from our maintenance plan that we submitted to the city, the lion's share of the work is being done over a 12-month period, pretty much all of 2022. We're asking to have a Mills Act contract with the city because there'll be continued ongoing maintenance and rehabilitation to the buildings. We have found, as we've started into the project, and I showed some of the committee that were on site, that we've made tremendous headway into repairing a lot of deferred maintenance that was there. And we expect that to continue. These buildings are from the 30s. Thankfully, they were built out of vertical grain redwood from the Big Sur coast and vertical grain Doug fir, which we're preserving all of. We do expect now, after about 120 days of construction, we found that there's probably 3 roofs that we'll need to add to the contract. One in 2025, one in 2026, and one in 2027 that are going to need to be replaced, which I think is authorized under the contract. Otherwise, the plumbing, the electrical, the exterior of the buildings, the doors and windows exterior, as you can see by our year 1 contract, are all going to be new. And I believe, like L'Auberge Carmel is, this will be a beautiful renovation to a historic property and will show off well. I was able to talk to the original owner's daughter who grew up on the property in the 60s. We were able to find the original trim paint color that I handed Marnie today. So we're really going to bring it back to what it looked like of pictures that we have in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. We're keeping all the mature landscaping, and we are re-landscaping some of the areas that had to be pulled out for ADA access. But I think it's going to be a beautiful renovation. I can answer any questions, or Mr. Barlow can too.
Thank you. I have a question. Maybe you can talk about some of the fiscal reimbursements that the city may see as part of this. Obviously, you get a significant tax benefit, but there's a lot of work going into this, 3.5 million, as you noted in the maintenance plan. But is there other ways the city could see its money come back to it based on what's going on?
Yeah, Chair Dyer, that's a great question, and the key answer is, and I'll just use L'Auberge as an example. L'Auberge Carmel has increased the transient occupancy tax to the city from the old Sundial Lodge by 6 times the original amount from 2002. We feel that on our forecasting for the city for the transient occupancy tax that would be collected from us to the city, it will at least double by year 2 of operations, and any loss of tax revenue from, and Marnie and I do not know what that amount is, from the property taxes will be more than made up for the increase in the transient occupancy tax.
Great, thank you. Is there any other questions of the applicant on the board?
Mr. Chairman, isn't it true that hotel tax goes completely to the city of Carmel and is not divided among other entities, public entities?
I believe so. Marnie?
That is correct.
So it's a win-win for the city in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions about anything from the board to the applicant or to the architect who's here? Okay, hearing none, thank you. Is there any other members of the public that would like to speak on this application? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. Who would like to start?
Well, I'll just say that I'm very impressed with the work that's being proposed and has already started on the site. Because this is also a significant resource as far as its history goes, it really draws one to look at what type of visitor accommodations were popular in the 30s and 40s in Carmel, and to think that we will see a resurgence of this and an upgrading. I'm not an architect, but having read the maintenance plan, I'd be interested to see if our architect on the board is satisfied with all the work that has been laid out. I certainly support this, and I think the staff has done a great job in laying out the reasons why we should. The findings seem very clear to me. And I don't know how many commercial projects are recipients of Mills Act contracts. Probably of the 10 we have, Marnie, would most of them be residential properties? Is that true?
Yes, all 10 contracts are single family homes.
Okay, thank you. So I am supporting this, given if Eric feels comfortable as our resident architect with the maintenance that has been laid out.
Okay, thanks, Catherine.
I will say that at today's tour, which was even more enlightening than the last time we toured this property, they've really gone and had to go down to the bones of the structure in a lot of places where they've had to do a lot more work than they had planned to do. And, I think Carol made the comment today as we were looking at the property that, you know, they were doing so much work, it lasted for as long as it had. Now, you know, based on this work, hopefully it'll last for another 100 years. So I think, you know, it's not superficial improvements that are being done. It's at the very bedrock of this structure that, you know, improvements are being made, and a lot of them are being made. So I mean, I think they're doing the right things to preserve that resource for quite a long time. So I like the way they're going, and I think you know, as we said last time, this is a very good thing for the city.
Thank you, Jordan. Carol, do you have any comments?
I can just echo both Catherine and Jordan's comments. I was there also today looking at it, and you know, it's one of those historic nightmares where every time you take up a board, you find dry rot underneath, or knob and tube, or you know how it goes. And so it's much more, I think, of a project than maybe they originally had hoped. But they're doing it well, it looks like, and doing it thoroughly, and they'll have a really nice, long-lived historic structure when they are done. That's all.
Thank you. I would say there's two things we're basically deciding. One is to place it on the Carmel Register of Historic Resources, and the other one is to recommend the granting of the Mills Act. And in terms of the first one, going on the historic register, you know, I think there's very few properties actually that are on the register that actually are under two different criteria. Usually we look at different houses and buildings in Carmel, and they're criteria 3, which is for their architecture. But this is also criteria 1. If you look at the report by Ken Seavey, the original survey, you know, and this is in the area of history as an excellent example of the type and style of hotels developed in Carmel during the 1930s. And so this, and in a residential district, the scale, how this works with the scale, and the fact that it's been there so long, this is really an important part of Carmel's history. And the fact that they are keeping it and putting all, you know, this is a significant amount of money and investment into this property. And I think this, by doing this, it virtually, you know, guarantees the viability of these buildings and the business, you know, for decades to come, which is a big deal and worthy of our support. I think also the fact that they're front loading most of the work is also a great benefit to Carmel. So we'll see this wonderful renovated place in a year or two, and we'll have the benefits for a long time after that. So I very much support this. I think this is, again, what the Mills Act was made for. Because as I guess you saw on the site, you know, there is a lot of work when you start digging into these historic buildings, and it takes a lot of time and effort and money to make it happen. So the benefits of the Mills Act will definitely come in handy. And as Mr. Fink said, there are a lot of benefits to the city that make the initial hit to the property taxes negligible, which is including the TOT increases. So I would very much support the putting this on the register, as well as recommending a Mills Act contract to the city council. So, Jordan?
Yeah, so I have one thing to add to that. Mr. Fink pointed out to us, and I think we mentioned it here in the meeting too, that there's some additional work that needs to go on the maintenance allocation chart. So just procedurally, you know, that information has to be completed before it goes to the city council. But I'm assuming, and Marty, maybe you can guide us, that we can, you know, with the knowledge that that's there, we can still approve this. And as long as those numbers are provided before it goes to the city council, it's good to go, or we don't need to see this. We don't need to revisit this again at the HRB, do we?
This is interesting, Jordan, because I think it brings up one of the interesting parts of what the Mills Act does. And Marty, I'll let you comment on it. But my understanding is that every year it gets extended another 10 years, right? So that until it is canceled. That's what the Mills Act contracts are based on. And you can each year, when it's extended, revise and augment the maintenance restoration plan. Is that correct, Marty?
I thought it was for 1 year after the first 10 years, that you could renew it for 1 year at a time after the 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the minimum term of the contract will effectively be 20 years. The first 10 years is investment in rehabilitation of the property. And then the remaining 10 years, is the additional benefit that's added in the property tax savings to the property owner. I would recommend that if there are certain additional maintenance or rehabilitation items that the board wants to make sure are incorporated into the plan, that you include that as part of your motion in the resolution that you are adopting. There can be some minor adjustments to the plan over the next 10 years, but any material change would likely come back to the board for evaluation.
So Mr. Fink, can you lay out those additional items, and I'll write while you're talking?
Yes, sir.
Hang on, just give me one sec.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
We just, Chris Barlow and I were just chatting by text. And starting in the year 2025, we will rehabilitate. And Chris, I don't know if you're on or you know the building numbers, but we have 3 roof rehabilitations. We're going to do them in 25, 26, and 27. And the estimated cost per roof that we have in today's numbers marked up a little bit because the roofs aren't huge, are $50,000 per roof. So it's an additional $150,000 added to the contract for roofing replacement for 3 buildings. And I'm sorry I don't have the buildings numbers in front of me, but maybe Chris does.
We, if we were to have a condition that the Mills Act will be updated to include, re-roofing 3 of the buildings, I think I can take care of the detail from there.
Yeah, I think in the actual ordinance, it says all Mills Act contracts shall specify that rehabilitation and restoration and maintenance shall be updated. The plan shall be updated at least every 10 years and approved by both parties. So is that how you see it, Marnie? I mean, obviously we want to include what we can in this initial.
Yeah, so absolutely. So the initial 10-year term of the contract, at the end of that 10 years, the city can opt to non-renew. And in doing so, after that following 10-year period where it renewed on an annual basis, then the contract would come to an end. If the city wanted to continue to remain within the contract, then the applicant would provide a new 10-year maintenance plan for an additional 20-year period. Okay. If that makes sense. But they have 10 years of rehabilitation, and then they have 10 years of reaping the benefits. And then at that time, they can decide if they want to continue on with the Mills Act contract or terminate.
Okay. So it sounds like they do want to amend the plan as it's been submitted to include the re-roofing of those 3 buildings. So is that something we can do, including the plan at this point?
Yes, you certainly could. They sound like they are in agreement. So
okay, they have to agree to that.
Yes, we're in agreement.
Okay.
Anything else besides that, David?
No, I think we've now gone through every building to the bones, and it was those 3 roofs that caught my eye in the last 30 days, and it took a while to get the roofer out there to look at them. So I think that'll be the icing on the cake for this contract.
Okay, excellent. So with that, do we have a motion? I guess I would recommend whoever makes the motion look at the. Oops, I lost my. There is a HRB resolution attachment 1, which will list the proper motion. And we can amend it to include the revision of the maintenance plan to include those new roofs.
Okay, so I motion that we recommend the HRB resolution MA 21-239, which includes adding the Carmel Beach Hotel and Spa, formerly known as the Colonial Terrace Inn, to the Historic Resources Registry of Carmel, and entering into a Mills Act contract with Esperanza Carmel Commercial LLC for the property located on San Antonio northeast of 13th Avenue. And that should include additional funds set aside for 25, 26, and 27, which will include the rehabilitation of 3 roofs at approximately $50,000 per roof in today's dollars.
Okay, that's a great motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, go ahead, Carol.
Okay.
Okay, we have a second by Carol, a motion by Jordan. Roll call, please.
Board Member Croman,
Yes.
Board Member Waltieri,
Yes.
Board Member Hall,
Yes.
Board Member Pomeroy, Chair Dyer.
Yes. Thank you and good luck.
Thank
Yes,
you.
good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, committee. I really appreciate it.
Okay, next on our agenda is our certified local government annual report. Marnie?
Thank you, Chair Dyer. So the City of Carmel is a certified local government, and that's a designation that we achieved from the state of California due to our historic preservation program. And as part of this designation, we are required to submit an annual report to the state that basically reports on the qualifications of our board members, attendance at board meetings, trainings that have been conducted, and a variety of other things. And so this item is a copy of the draft annual report for the board to review and adopt. The board is required to review it before staff sends it to the state. The report is due in the middle of May. And maintaining this local government, certified local government status is really important because it's also what helped us compete and achieve grant funding for our historic context statement update. So with that, I would just ask that the board receive the report and provide feedback as appropriate.
So Marty, I looked at this, but can you focus us on the, like, are there any highlighted areas or anything like that that we should be focusing on? It's a long report and it covers a lot of ground.
It certainly does. So some of the specifics, the state asks us to provide a link to our current historic preservation ordinance. So they really want to make sure that we are implementing the ordinance as it was adopted. We do also report on any new properties that we've added to our historic inventory. So this particular reporting period is from October of 2020 through September of 2021. And during that time, we did add 5 properties to our Carmel inventory. We also report on the number of properties that have been evaluated. And I believe that total looks like it was 14, I believe. Actually, the 14 properties we reviewed for determinations of consistency. So the report really kind of gets into some of these details of, what are we doing to implement our historic preservation program, and then making sure that our board members have a diversity of backgrounds and meet the minimum qualifications to be on the board. as well as receive ongoing training. And this is really an area that we've kind of struggled with over the last couple years, is finding appropriate training for the board to participate in. However, I am happy to report that we will be purchasing a membership with the California Preservation Foundation. And with that membership will come some wonderful training opportunities, including the ability to attend their annual conference in June, which is a virtual conference. And so more information on that is to come. But the kind of in short, the report details all of the activities that we have undertaken during this reporting period in furtherance of our historic preservation program.
Okay. And Marnie, we had talked about having Seth and Kent they had volunteered to do some instructional webinars for the board, maybe during a board meeting. Obviously, Seth is taking over the historic context statement now, so I don't know whether that can happen in the near future, maybe after the historic context statement is completed, but is there any news on that front? Because I think that'd be great, just a wonderful kind of a question and answer session with them on important subjects that we deal with.
Yes, they certainly are wonderful local resources and experts in their field, and we would love to have them come do some training with the board. We are working on the logistics of scheduling that training, and hopefully this membership with the California Preservation Foundation will fill a little bit of that gap until we can get something scheduled with both Seth and Kent.
Okay. And do you remember the dates in June that is happening?
It is June 7th through 10th.
Okay. And is it online and in person or just online?
It appears to be online. It appears to be a virtual conference. And I certainly will get more information and get that out to the board pretty quickly here, because June will be here before we know it.
For sure, for sure.
I remember years ago, Kent Seavey gave a course at Monterey Peninsula College that some of the board members at that time, this would have been many years ago, he gave a course in architectural history that was really good. And if he could just come and, if Seth is too busy, I'm sure Kent has all kinds of notes and slides and material that he can use. I think a little something, maybe not at every meeting, but something that will keep us up to date would be good for us. So I support what you're trying to put together, Marnie, and the state conference would be a good thing, although many times the people who attend are consultants who have different interests than we would as a board. But there are good programs that they offer through that conference. But I hope that Kent will be able to at least put in an appearance if Seth is too busy with the context update, because he has a lot of experience.
Okay, and Marnie, do we need a vote to approve this at this meeting?
I would just ask that you make a motion to accept the report. And then if you have any edits or clarifications, please do let me know so I can make those changes before we submit the report. But just a motion and a vote would be appreciated.
Okay.
I move that we accept the report that has been prepared for 2020 and 2021 for the CLG program.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Carl, second. Why don't we have a roll call on that? Unless there's any other questions or additions people would like to make to Marnie before we make our vote, so we can move on to the next agenda item, if there's any. Okay, seeing none, why don't we do the roll call?
Board Member Croman,
Yes.
Board Member Gualtieri,
Yes.
Board Member Hall,
Yes.
Board Member Pomeroy, Chair Dyer.
Yes. Okay. Let's see, now we'll go to, I think it's, I'm not seeing my agenda in front of me, but I think it's the director's report.
Yes. Well, so I just mentioned the membership. So I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be a really great resource, not only for the board, but also for staff as we continue to learn and kind of grow in this area of historic preservation. So more information to come on that. Also wanted to let the board know that staff just spent a good portion of last week with the consultant from Winter and Company on the Design Traditions update. We had a really fantastic and productive 3 days with the consultants, just talking about the design traditions and where we see the project going. So more information to come on that, but that effort is underway. And we're really excited to have Nori Winter and Julie Husband working with us yet again, 20 years later, on updating our design guidelines and addressing more current issues with respect to design and building materials throughout the village. And I believe that's all I have. If the board has any questions for me?
Do you have a schedule yet of when there is public input for the Winter and Associates group?
I don't have that information in front of me, but I can certainly get that to you.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Anything else, Marnie? No? Okay. I have, I guess, just a short board member announcement to let people know about the American Institute of Architects Monterey Bay chapter's new 2022 Arts and Architecture lecture series, which is starting up again. And this year it's going to be, the theme is Shaping the Future, Land Use from the Global Perspective to Local Implementation. And it's starting on Thursday, April 21st. And we're having Secretary Leon Panetta give the lecture. And this is all taking place at Hidden Valley Music Seminars. You can go to arts and, spelled out A-N-D, architecturemonterey.org to get tickets to this. And it should be really fun. So he's going to do the first lecture, which will focus on the ideas of global land use and population growth and a national view on land use and the implications on national security. And then the next lecture, which will take place on May 12th, is themed the local perspective of land use. And we're going to have a really interesting panel discussion with smart growth advocates and private property rights advocates, moderated by Marianne Chickatants. So you have people like Tony Lombardo and the head of Land Watch and the Big Sur Land Trust as part of that. So it should be really a lively panel discussion about all that. And then the third lecture is going to take place Thursday, May 26th, 2 weeks later. And it's themed about building in the open landscape. And we're having our local renowned landscape architect, Bernard Trainer, who founded Ground Studio, a really fantastic landscape architect. And we're lucky to have him living in Carmel. And he's going to be doing that lecture about his work and looking at successful transitions from built environment to the natural environment. So that should be fun. Hopefully we'll see people there, and I'll try to send out some notifications about that to everyone too. So with that, is there any other board members announcements or anything, comments? Okay, well, great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a great evening. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Catherine.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.